Hello everyone, and welcome to our channel. That tiny Roosevelt dime might look ordinary at first glance. Yet today's spotlight is on a 1991 issue that has quietly caught the eye of savvy collectors. You're about to discover how a dime struck in a year we often overlook can pull in serious attention and add an unexpected spark to any collection. Back in 1991, the U.S. Mint was producing dimes in staggering numbers, over 5 billion at Philadelphia and nearly 5 billion at Denver. Roosevelt's profile continued to honor the legacy of a president remembered for optimism in dire times. By then, methods had shifted fully to copper-nickel-clad planchets, and the dimes rolled off high-speed presses that could produce mintages never before imagined. Yet, even with such mass production, the odd press error or dime misalignment could transform a run-of-the-mill issue into an instant treasure. No grand fanfare announced it at the time, but collectors would later spot tiny irregularities that turned a common pocket change piece into something exceptional. At first blush, a standard 1991 Roosevelt dime shares all the hallmarks we know well. A 17.9 millimeters diameter, reeded edge, and the bust of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, paired with the torch, olive branch, and oak sprig on the reverse. But for the eagle-eyed hobbyist, the real story lies in subtle deviations. Maybe the D Mint mark looks slightly doubled, or you notice a faint doubling of liberty on the obverse. Such doubling often arises when a die shifts ever so slightly between impressions, leaving a ghost image that adds an intriguing layer to this tiny coin. A shift in focus brings us to the most sought-after irregularities. One of the most popular varieties among 1991 dimes is the doubled die obverse, a flaw where the die itself received overlapping lettering during hubbing. These show up as crisply doubled letters in the date or motto, and while most examples fetch modest five-figure catalog numbers, a pristine, well-struck doubled die can command upward of $50 in a mid-grade certification. Off-center strikes, where the planchet wasn't perfectly seated, can yield dramatic visual appeal, part of Roosevelt's shoulder or the mint mark falling off the edge. Those with a misalignment greater than 2 millimeters and intact rims often trade hands in the $100 to $200 range. Now, if you flip one of these error dimes over, you might catch a die crack creeping across the reverse. These cracks are like little scars that inspire intrigue. They form when a die begins to weaken under the relentless pressure of production. A crack can run from the olive branch into the oak sprig, and while subtle, it whispers tales of the mint's frenetic pace back in '91. Transitioning from physical quirks to financial implications, let's talk value. A base 1991 dime in circulated condition, without error or special designation, rarely exceeds 50 cents. You might see dozens of them on auction listings, each going for a few cents over face. Yet drop into mint state condition, grades like MS65, MS67, and prices climb significantly. An MS65 example might clear $5. At MS67, you could be looking at $20 to $30. Certified first releases or early strikes from the Philadelphia Mint, designated by grading services, push even higher. Those early impressions often held crisper details before dies began to soften. If auction records tell the tale, a particularly remarkable error specimen once hammered for over $300 at a major numismatic sale. This was an off-center strike exceeding 4 millimeters with full mint luster intact and no distracting marks. A handful of bidders drove the price skyward, demonstrating how rarity and eye appeal combine to fuel competition. Flowing naturally from auction house drama, let's dive into a few quirky anecdotes. A collector in Ohio once stumbled upon a 1991 off-center dime in a roll bought for face value at a local bank. That roll yielded 2 errors, and after grading, the pair combined netted over $400. It seems luck can strike twice even when expectations are minimal. On the opposite coast, an East Bay dealer shared a story of a student who dropped a bunch of pocket change onto a tabletop, only to notice under bright lights that one dime's date appeared slightly elevated. That discovery led to a $20 sale, funding the student's next semester textbook budget. Gliding toward condition-based variations, it's crucial to understand how grade and eye appeal shape value. A circulated dime with minor wear on Roosevelt's cheek won't stir much interest. But when you see that coin still sporting full luster, flawless fields, and razor-sharp reeds, grading services take notice. An MS67 Plus example, perfectly centered with no visible contact marks under 10 power, can command well over $50. Push to the ultimate PR70 or SP70 on proof finishes. Even though 1991 proofs aren't silver, they still attract premium bids when perfection is confirmed. Condition grades below MS60 hold modest premiums. MS60 might sit at $2, MS63 around $5. But once you break into the MS65, MS67 window, premiums expand exponentially. An MS66 clocking in might fetch $15 to $20. MS67 can reach 30 or more. And never underestimate the power of special labels. Early releases, first day of issue, or full bans on weak coins don't apply here. But similar designations like full torch or full stripes on Roosevelt dimes can boost prices slightly when certified. Bringing everything home. It's remarkable how a humble 1991 Roosevelt dime transforms under the lens of a collector. Historical context, production quirks, and human error all intermingle to create a miniature narrative. When you grasp how key identifying features signal valuable error types, you unlock potential in every handful of change. Checking auction catalogs reveals the real-world consequences as bids climb for the most striking examples. Then layers of fascinating backstories, like schoolbooks funded by pocket change or hidden gems in bank rolls, swirl together, proving that even in an era of mass mintages, individuality can reign supreme. In closing, whether you're rooting through coins at your local bank, examining rolls from a recent estate purchase, or simply inspecting change in your pocket, that 1991 dime could hold an unexpected surprise. Keep an eye peeled for doubled dies, off-center strikes, and die cracks. Appreciate how condition defines value. Recognize stories that add color to every discovery. And remember that collecting isn't just about buying and selling. It's about uncovering history in the palm of your hand. Now go forth, explore those rolls, and maybe you'll be the next person to unearth a rare error worth more than a dime's face value.